Art Journaling for Beginners, page 3. Be one in a minion. Here's a sneak peek of the project. If you're not into minions, okay, pick any picture and use the colors in the picture to choose the background. You'll need a picture to be colored, or one that's colored, acrylic colors that go with the chosen pick, charcoal pencil, Mod Podge, any stencil or some bubble wrap, lids, and other circle making objects. So here I printed off a minion. And I'm choosing to do minions because this is a school project and I thought the children would like it. And I'm painting with acrylic paint. And drawing in between. This is thin copy paper, so it's not really liking the wet medium, but it works. If you have a colored picture, that's fine. You can see the size of the paintbrushes that I've used to apply the paint. If you can draw a picture, you can use that as well. Alternately, you could use watercolor pencils or just pencil crayons. I don't recommend markers as they may bleed when you try to adhere it with the Mod Podge. So I'm just following the colors from the internet picture where I got this. As you can see, I will be using the red, white, and blue, the primary colors in this project. So look at your picture. What are the colors there? And use those in the background so that the picture shows up. There's very little red, so that's why I chose to do red. But the circles I've done in yellow and black and blue. So I've cut out the minion and I'm using a Micron permanent pen, liner pen, to add the details. So I'm just outlining it kind of sketchy just to give it some definition. So I printed off the saying, be one in a minion. So I'm seeing how I want to arrange the pictures. Or the words rather. And once I have an idea, I'm ready to paint the background. I've already decided that I'm going to use the primary colors. I figured that my little minion with his blue and yellow is going to show up good. But I decided I want to add some texture, and I look at these stencils that I got from Walmart. There was a pack of 3, which are really good stencils for this kind of activity. And then I decided to just apply some gesso with bubble wrap. You guessed it, plain old bubble wrap. It just puts a little texture on the page and adds some interest to your final product. Once that's on, I'm going to dry it thoroughly. Here you see me just applying the red paint with a wide brush. It's good to have a big brush for painting bigger areas you end up with less brush strokes. But sometimes the brush strokes can be the texture that you're adding. So I'm putting the plastic sheet between the pages just to keep the paint from going on underneath pages. Switching it over and painting there. If you're using Liquitex paint or some heavy body paint, you may have to add a little bit of water to help it go smoothly. Make sure you get all the little details. So here are my mark making tools. In here I have caps and lids from underarm deodorant. So I'm picking a few sizes and I'm just putting acrylic paint and I'm making the circles on the page. I've chosen the blue and the yellow to match the colors on my Minion. Whatever your object is, use the colors that are in there to make it stand out. I'm drawing in between. Notice that I put some of the circles off the page. That always makes it seem more real. You can always go back and add more blue circles afterwards. So now I'm going to use a larger circle and do yellow. It doesn't have to be a perfect print. And again, putting some full circles, some half circles, some just a tiny little bit of it showing. Drawing in between. Just going to add a little bit more contrast. So now I'm going to use black and add some black circles. The bubble wrap was also round, so the texture underneath this is round. So that leads to a cohesive plan, tying everything together. If you're unsure if you're done, let it sit, take a look from across the room and see. Make sure this is dry with your hair dryer or heat tool. So I'm taking black acrylic paint on the makeup sponge and I'm edging the page as we've done on other projects. This just frames the page. Now I have the bottom of a plastic paper plate holder that's been cut out. And I'm just using gesso, but you can use white acrylic paint as well, just to add some little something extra. I want to add some lightness to this. So here I'm going back and I'm applying gesso. It'll give it a little bit more texture than just the acrylic paint. So there you see me using a baby wipe to get rid of where I don't want it to go. And as long as you act quickly, if the base is acrylic, you can do that. If you're using sprays, that may not be the case because they will activate with anything wet and you would remove them. On the left, you see I left a space. That's where I'm going to put my Minion. And I wanted him to really pop, so I didn't put white underneath. The white that I added through the paper plate holder ties in with the white around the words. I'm just taking the makeup sponge with the black paint and I'm edging all the words. This gets rid of the white, kind of scrunchies up the words and just makes it blend better. Figuring out the final placement. If you're not sure, stand back, take a look. I find taking a picture often helps. Then I can see whether I like it. I set it up one way and I set it up another and I see which one I like through the camera lens or through the iPhone. This project in total length took under 40 minutes to do. So don't feel intimidated that you need to get it done in the 15 minutes that you are watching this video. Most videos on YouTube are sped up and take a lot longer. The presenter also tends to have a lot of the materials right at hand, so there's no going and collecting and thinking about things. I know when I started art journaling, that really threw me for a loop because it took me a lot longer, and then I realized that's why I was thinking that. So I applied Mod Podge over the whole surface just so it's all has an equal finish. I'm edging again because some of the white paint was showing. Now I'm using my charcoal pencil, again something I picked up at the dollar store or Walmart. If you have a Stabilo all pencil or a watercolor pencil or Inktense pencil, you can use that and activate it with water to get the same effect. But this is an inexpensive way of doing it, and I'm quite surprised at how well this works. I'll definitely use this more. So I'm just tracing around it and then just rubbing it with my finger to smudge it. And the smudging somehow just sets everything off. Going around the edge, the same thing. Adding more. Now going around my minion, I also add a little bit of the charcoal to add some shading to my little minion. And you can do this on a magazine picture just to make it stand out a little better. You can add whatever you like in the way of shadows and make it your own. I've even used Inktense blocks and watercolor pencils and colored them a totally different color than what they were in the magazine. Want a little bit more bling and tying in the yellow. I have my gold dollar store gel pen, and I'm just adding dashes in the middle of the letters. It's one way to just kind of fancy up the font from the computer. You can add dashes, dots, squiggles, squirrels, anything you like. And then I decide I'm going to put some sketchy lines around it. And again, the gold ties into the yellow that's there. So I'm not introducing another color. I'm just enhancing what's already there and making it all work together. So here's a picture of the finished project, B1 in a Minion. I was tempted to splatter white paint or black paint, and you could do that if you'd like. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you know when the next video is being posted. Check out my blog for step-by-step instructions, www.creativekatie.wordpress.com.